as advertised, is a festival called the Golden Moon Festival. And sometimes Chaitanya is referred to as being like the Golden Moon. One of his names was Gaura Chandra. Gaura Chandra means Golden Moon. Welcome. And why the Golden Moon Festival? Because Chaitanya's anniversary or appearance is being celebrated at this time of the year. It happens on a full moon. It's not a full moon tonight, but it's at around about this time. So that's the theme for our gathering. So we'll start with some chanting. Our drum is already rearing to go, so I won't hold it back any longer. So this chanting is a type of meditation based on sound, mantra meditation. Mantra is sacred sound. These are hymns, enchantments, incantations. In the yoga tradition, these mantras are emphasized for focusing the mind which is most often turning with thoughts and ideas, and often they can be negative fears and anxieties, apprehensions, stories that we tell ourselves that of unworthiness, stories of victimization, and that brings up within us guilt and anger and resentment. And so these minds, they can be very troubling. And a focus in yoga is to pacify the mind, recognizing that we are not the mind. So this stress comes about when we identify with these stories and we identify with these doubts and fear, which is not us. These are states that come over us when our mind is disturbed. And so, as a beginning point in yoga, the mind is made peaceful. Even more important than making the mind peaceful is to step out from the mental platform where we're identified with those stories to come to the soul platform of identification. We can witness the stories, we can witness the emotions, because we are not those. We are Atman, the spiritual self, or the soul. That has a mind, that has a body, that has intelligence, that has eyes, that has ears, that has a tongue. We use these tools. We use eyeballs or extensions of them, these lenses, to see. But who's seeing? We use the ears to hear, but who hears? Who tastes? Who smells? That is the self. That is the Atman. And so yoga wants us to connect with that, or wake up to connect with that self, the essential self, beyond the mind and body and senses. That self which for most of us is, we can say, sleeping. The self which is not recognized, which is being ignored. And so an important practice for us to connect with that spiritual self is to chant sacred or spiritual mantras, to invoke sacred sound. Sound affects consciousness. Some sounds make us feel nostalgia. Some sounds make us feel sad. Some sounds make us feel like laughing. Some sounds make us feel angry. Some sounds make us feel frightened. And in yoga, there's an understanding of something called spiritual sound, which helps us to awaken our spiritual nature, our spiritual identity. What are these spiritual sounds? They are prayers that connect us with the divine. Otherwise, these spiritual sounds or mantras, they are holy names. When we connect with the holy name of the divine, the divinity, God, then we connect with the divine itself or himself, because there is an understanding in yoga that the divine fully manifests in that vibration, in that sound. So Chaitanya, the deity, whose appearance we celebrate, Golden Moon Festival, he emphasized this mantra yoga or this mantra meditation. We have two ways of practicing it. One is as a personal meditation with our beads, with our mala. We chant the mantra on the bead and then move to the next. And we count. Why? Because we make a commitment to chant so many times around our beads every day. 4 or 6 or 10 or 12 or 16. Some commitment. And we count the mantras on the beads, and we do that with ourselves. The other practice of mantra yoga or mantra meditation is communal or congregational. And we do this with singing and drums and cymbals, cute, and a hand organ that we have here. And so this is a practice where we connect with the divine through sacred sound. We also connect with each other. We also help each other when we come together and practice this mantra yoga called kirtan. We help each other because the personal meditation, it depends on us taking the time to focus and to chant. The communal kirtan, we just show up, and the sangha, the community, the group helps us because they are engaged in the same practice together. So we'll start with some kirtan, then we'll talk a little bit about Chaitanya, his life. Patrick, are you familiar with Chaitanya's life? A little bit, yeah, good. Louis? Yeah. So we'll talk about Lord Chaitanya's life and his teachings. We can have some questions as well, and then a little more chanting, a little more kirtan. We'll sing the Hare Krishna mantra, but before doing so, we will also invoke blessings of our spiritual teachers by singing other mantras of invocation as well. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashaya
530 some odd years ago, 1486. Who could do the calculation? 537 maybe? Years ago in West Bengal, India, Chaitanya made his appearance. Yesterday in New York, people were excited at around 3:30 in the afternoon. Lots of people were outside looking up at the sky. I saw one man, he had 3 pairs of sunglasses on. I said, does that work for you? Are you able to see?
Genius.
It didn't work. People tried to see the eclipse. So in 1486, in West Bengal, India, there was a lunar eclipse. The moon had been fully eclipsed, and the people took this to be an inauspicious event. The moon gives light, the sun gives light to the earth, and when it gets covered, that was seen to be as something as inauspicious. And so to create auspiciousness in the midst of inauspiciousness, the people went to the river Ganges, the Ganga, a sacred river that flows across India from the Himalayas down to the Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal, thank you. From the Himalayas to the Bay of Bengal. And they assembled and chanted divine names. So what was considered inauspicious had become now auspicious because hundreds of thousands, millions of people were all along the river singing divine names, creating an auspicious atmosphere. And that was the time or the moment when Chaitanya made his appearance. He was born to, who were his parents? Jagannath Mishra, a Brahmana man, and his wife Sachi Devi. And she had had many miscarriages. And so after giving birth to this child, she brought him under a tree, a special tree that has very bitter leaves. Neem tree. Who's tasted those neem leaves? Very, very bitter. And in India, they use it has antiseptic qualities as well. The neem leaf, they sometimes will grind it into a paste and apply it to wounds because of its antiseptic quality. And so Chaitanya's mother brought him under and sat under that tree because of its antiseptic healing qualities. She was hopeful that this child will remain healthy. Also, people chew those leaves so as not to be bitten by mosquitoes. Apparently, it makes your blood taste not sweet but bitter. And the mosquitoes go, not going to bite that person. Bitter blood. So she sat with her child under that tree. And the child was given, one of the child's names was Nimai. The child who was born under the neem tree. And who has these healing qualities as well. So as a child, this infant was known as Nimai, affectionately. He had other names, but affectionately known as Nimai. And prior to the birth of this child, there was a great saint named Advaita. He had looked around and seen how people were becoming more and more materialistic. And he thought, we need a special incarnation of the divine to come and remind people of their spiritual nature. We need an incarnation who will wake people up to their spiritual identity. And so he had prayed like this. And when Nibai was born amidst all of the chanting of these sacred names, that Advaita thought said, this is the child that I prayed for. A special benediction, a gift of the divine, an incarnation of the divine. And others had that view as well. There are some stories told that whenever the child would cry, who has children? Patrick has son, daughter?
2 daughters and a son.
Okay, 3, yeah. Anyone else have children? Just you, Patrick. So, Patrick, when your children cry, how do you pacify them?
Hold them.
You hold them. Does it work? Yeah. Just lift the child up and
Sometimes.
she stops crying. He stops crying. Sometimes you have to like rock them as well a little.
Yep.
Make some sounds. Sing a lullaby. Give a pacifier. That should work, right? Dummy. Child stops crying. So with this child, Nimai, there was only one thing that would work to stop Nimai from crying. Who could say what it was? The people would sing these divine names. How we were singing this kirtan. So all the people in the village, they would start singing the divine names and Nimai would stop crying. They stopped singing, Nimai would cry. And they would sing divine names, they would sing kirtan, Nimai would stop crying. So he was born into the congregational chanting of the holy names, and he insisted that people continue chanting the holy names. And that, in fact, became the mission of his life, to spread the chanting of the holy names far and wide. But before he officially took up this mission, before he inaugurated a Sankirtan or Kirtan congregational chanting mission, he took the role of a young intellectual. He was a genius. Very quickly, he learned his lessons at school. And even as a youngster, he started his own school. And he attracted many students. So as a teenager, he started his own school, Nimai's school, Nimai's academy. And students would go to him to learn Sanskrit grammar and logic. And he would walk with his students through the town, Navadvip, and he would challenge other scholars, other teachers that he would meet on the street. Ask them questions of grammar, philosophy, and they would give an answer and he would defeat it, and his students would smile and laugh and they would be excited, elated. And then once Nimai defeated that answer, he would defeat the answer that he had given. And then when he defeated that, he defeated that. So like this, he enjoyed, and his students enjoyed, this intellectual activity, intellectual linguistic gymnastics And the saints, like Advaita, who had prayed for a special incarnation, who had identified Nimai as the child that he had prayed for, he thought, what's gone wrong with him? He's so beautiful, so brilliant, so intelligent, so charming. People love him. But he wastes it in this intellectual wrangling. And then something happened. His father died, Jagannath Mishra passed away. And so Nimai went to, now a young man, he went to a place called Gaya to to offer oblations for his departed father. It's a special place of pilgrimage. Even today, people go to Gaya to say the last rites or perform the last rites for their departed parents. And while there, he met a great saint named, this is the Chaitanya quiz night, Keshava Bharati. Good try. We'll come to him later.
Ishvara Puri.
Ishvara Puri. Yeah, very good. Ishvara Puri was a sannyasi, a monk. And Chaitanya saw him in a temple. And when he saw Ishvara Puri, he saw that he was chanting these sacred names. And he seemed to be like an ocean of love, an ocean of compassion. Not desirous of taking anything, not needy for anything. Just this ocean of flowing love and kindness and compassion. And Chaitanya was drawn to him and said, can you guide me? Can you give me spiritual guidance? And Ishvara Puri, he said, you take the chanting of the holy name. This mantra that we were singing. Ishvara Puri gave him that mantra and said, you chant this mantra. That's my guidance. He in fact initiated him into chanting that mantra. The next day, Chaitanya returned to that temple and found this teacher, this monk, Ishvara Puri. And he said, what kind of mantra have you given me? He said, when I sing this mantra, when I say this mantra, my eyes fill with tears. Some of you earlier were saying the mantra and your eyes were filling with tears. He said, when I say this mantra, my whole body, there's like shivers. When I say this mantra, my hair stands on end. Sometimes I laugh. Sometimes I feel devastated. What kind of mantra have you given me? And Ishvara Puri said, the mantra is having the desired effect. You are falling in love with God. You keep chanting. You have fallen in love with God. When you fall in love with somebody, they become your whole universe. You see them in everything. Everything reminds you of them. Everything becomes connected in one way or another to a memory of them. And that's what happened to Chaitanya. He fell in love with God. And in that love, he didn't need anything. He didn't want anything. Just this connection, this relationship of devotion. And so he went back to Navadvip, to his town. Now a lover of God. His students were excited that their teacher had returned. Chaitanya has come back to them. Nimai has returned. Nimai is back. We will start our lessons again. And he tried to teach grammar, logic, linguistics. But it couldn't come from his mouth anymore. Dry. There was no taste, no flavor, no excitement. He tried to explain the grammatical rule, but his tongue wanted to chant these divine names. And after a short time, he said to his students, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You have to find another Sanskrit teacher. This school is closed. We are now a school of crying. We are a school of crying for the divine. We are a school of chanting holy names. And many of the students say, well, if that's what you're doing these days, we'll join you. They joined the school of kirtan meditation, kirtan chanting. They would sing with Chaitanya through the night, and they would become ecstatic, chanting these divine names. They would dance. Chaitanya, the biographers, they say that he would look like a firebrand. Sometimes he would whirl about with his ecstatic chanting and sometimes dancing. And the people who didn't understand, they were like, oh, these strange people singing through the night, wailing and weeping. And there was a Muslim ruler. His name was Qazi, Chand Qazi. He became quite astonished. He said, until now, these local Hindus, they were all so quiet and docile and afraid. They had no courage or conviction in their religious practice. Suddenly, they have become very bold. Suddenly, they have become very committed in their spirituality. On whose strength have they become so committed and courageous? He actually felt threatened because as a Muslim ruler of a large Hindu population, he felt his position was volatile. And then some priests, some Brahmanas, they came to him and they said, Chand Qazi, Muslim ruler, we are here to report to you about the activities of one Nimai Pandit. Oh yes, what has he done? Nimai Pandit, I know him. He is the intellectual genius of Navadvip. What has he done? He is leading the common people in singing sacred mantras. Oh, and why is that bad? Well, the Brahmins were feeling threatened as well because until now they were the intermediaries, them, the people, them, and God. The people want to connect with God, they go to the Brahmins, pay some donation, get a ritual done, offer some bells and some incense or a lamp, and the ritual is done, and people feel they've somehow pacified God. But what Chaitanya was doing was showing people that they could experience God in a profound, wonderful way, personally, at any time and place. And so the Brahmanas felt that this was a threat to their hegemony, to their power. So the Muslim rulers feeling threatened, the Brahmins are feeling threatened, but when the Brahmins complained, the Muslim ruler had an excuse to come down and intervene. And so what he did was, when the followers of Chaitanya, by now he had a large following. When they were engaged in kirtan, the ruler, he went out and he took some of these mridanga drums. So these drums, they are made from clay. The shell there is quite delicate, made of, like it's a clay shell. It's about this thick, not that thick. It can break quite easily. Welcome. And so the Muslim ruler, he heard kirtan being performed, he heard the drums, he heard the cymbals, he heard the singing, and he went around with his soldiers, took the drum, threw it on the ground. Another drum, threw it on smashed it on the ground. And he told the people who were singing, he said, "This is your warning. Today, I'm just breaking the drums. Tomorrow, if I hear you engage in this singing, if I hear you engage in this kirtan again, you'll all be imprisoned, locked up. You'll be put away. Don't test me." And so Chaitanya, he noticed that there was no kirtan going on nearby. He noticed that there was no kirtan. He asked the people, "What happened to your singing and dancing and your playing of instruments?" They said, "The Muslim ruler has said that anyone who engages in kirtan will be punished. We are afraid." What did Chaitanya do? He sang louder, yeah, more kirtan.
He paid the Chankali a special dream visit.
Okay. Yeah. So Chaitanya, he called the people to assemble that evening for a massive kirtan chanting walking procession. Bring your drums, bring your cymbals, bring lamps. And so initially hundreds of people showed up, their lamps, their drums. Chaitanya welcomed them. And then the people who are on the fence, looking out the windows, looking out from their homes, looking from across their when they saw that so many people had assembled, they also came out. They were emboldened. They found their courage. They also came out to claim their right. What are they doing? They're singing divine names. They're singing names of God. Why should that be illegal? Why is that a punishable offense? And so ultimately, thousands and thousands of people came out onto the streets with their lamps, with their instruments. Chaitanya was dancing. He led this procession, tens of thousands of people, to the palace of the Muslim ruler. The people were dancing and singing in front of the palace, singing divine names. I was listening to a scholar recently. He was saying how this non-violent resistance or non-violent protest, civil disobedience on the part of Chaitanya, this organized disobedience of governmental authority. He said it was a precursor for the civil disobedience movement that would follow later on. He said it more explicitly. He said Gandhi got ideas for civil disobedience organizing from the protest of Chaitanya. So they went to the palace of the Qazi. Chaitanya went and knocked on the door. Qazi, Qazi, come out. Speak to me. And so after a long while, the Qazi came down. Chaitanya said, why did you hide? Qazi said, you look very angry. I was waiting for you to pass it to calm down. And they had a long philosophical discussion. They discussed the Quran, they discussed the Vedas. Chaitanya said, why is it an offense to sing the divine names? And eventually the Qazi, he gave a promise, a commitment. He said, henceforth in my kingdom, not only for me, but for all of my descendants, I declare that there should be no hindrance to kirtan. That was a great victory. Sometimes you'll see paintings of the kirtan from that time, and the chanters, they walk with a shield, it's shaped like a circular shield. Anyway, give it the shape with my fingers. Those of you who know, then you know what I'm referring to. So for a long time I asked where that was from or what it symbolized, and I heard different explanations. One of the explanations I heard was that was the Qazi's shield. And he gave it to the chanters as a symbol of his protection of the chanting. So they walked with his shield, and it was an indication this kirtan is under the protection. Protected speech, protected singing, protected spiritual practice. This kirtan yoga, sacred chanting. It was an indication that they had his assurance of protection. So this was just the beginning. After this victory, this meeting with the Qazi, then the chanting became more and more prominent all across Navadvip, where Chaitanya was living, and the surrounding areas as well. People would gather together, they would sing, they would dance, they would experience ecstasy, profound spiritual connection, awakening, purification, transformation. And then Chaitanya, he decided that he would take this all across India, which meant he had to leave Navadvip, which made the local community very sad. He swam across the river at night. He went to the ashram of a monastic, a monk named, you said it earlier, Keshava Bharati, and he asked him, please make me a monk, a sannyasi. Keshava Bharati was very reluctant. He said, you are too young, 25 years old. You are too handsome. He was, all the descriptions describe his beauty. A beautiful golden complexion, beautiful long black hair. Keshava Bharati says, I can't make you a monk. Chaitanya, he was very convincing. In his earlier life, he had been a logician. And so when he decided to persuade someone of something, he could be very convincing. And he persuaded Keshava Bharati to ordain him as a monk. And he traveled all over India. He walked all through the south, and it said wherever he would walk into a village, he would be singing and dancing, and people would join with him, and they would get swept up in spiritual ecstasy. They would be transformed, and they would go to another village as a transformed person, and people that would connect with them would also be transformed by this practice. And so in this way, this Sankirtan spread all across India. People were getting swept up in this wave of bhakti, of devotion, of love, of sacred chanting. And Chaitanya described at one point, he said, this chanting will go to every town and village of the world. Prativitaya Chayata Nagara Digram Sarvatra Prachara Vaime Maradon. Said every town and village of the earth, this wave of kirtan, joy, love will manifest. And for a long time, people thought that this was something very poetic that Chaitanya said, but it could never really happen. Until more recent times. In our times, we are seeing more and more how this prophecy is being fulfilled 500 years later. In 1965, our teacher, Prahlad, he came to New York City from India on a steamship called the Jaladuta. He stayed in Boston for a short while, but then he came here to New York City. For a short time, he stayed in the Upper West Side. He was giving talks in the yoga studio. He would lead the kirtan, this chanting there. But then he started to get a following, and then he was invited to come down here to he came to the Lower East Side of New York City, to the Bowery. And he started giving talks there, chanting in a park that you can even visit today, Tompkins Square Park. there's a tree there with a plaque on it, and it says Hare Krishna tree. Have you seen the plaque? Yeah, if you haven't seen it, I encourage you, just over the river. Go to Tompkins Square Park, and in the park you'll see one of the trees has a sign, the Hare Krishna tree. Because under that tree, our teacher stood in the summer of 1965 with a bongo drum. And the young people gathered around him, and they joined him in singing these sacred mantras, particularly the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And they got swept up in that same wave of love that started with Chaitanya. It took time to reach the shores of the United States, but it came, and people were affected in the same way. When our teacher Prabhupada brought this wave to the US, and from here, very quickly, it spread to the West Coast. 1966, I believe, there was a concert organized to bring Prabhupada and to start a little center in Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco. And when I tell you, maybe some of you will know the names of the bands that played in a benefit concert. So there was Moby Grape, the Grateful Dead, Jefferson Airplane, Janis Joplin. They all got together and volunteered their time to perform in a concert to raise some funds to start a little center there on the West Coast. And from there, some of Prabhupada's students, they went across to London, and they met the Beatles, George Harrison, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, Ringo, and they recorded this sacred chanting and released a single with the chanting, the Hare Krishna chant, and it went to the top of the charts in Europe for many, many weeks, months. They had a temple there in Burley Place, and a building inspector came around, and there was something wrong with the beams that were holding up the ceiling. So they said, "You have to close this place down." And so one of the devotees went around to the Rolling Stones, where they had their, I don't know, office or where their studio. Hey, we have a problem with the roof in the Krishna temple. Can you help? Mick Jagger wrote out a check to fix the beams so the temple could stay open. So yet somehow all these people got swept up in this wave of sacred chanting, this kirtan practice that Chaitanya didn't start, because it's there as a very, very ancient practice. The tradition goes back millennia. 500 years ago, Chaitanya brought attention to this practice as something that is easy, sublime, accessible, democratic, we might say. Anyone and everyone was invited to participate, regardless of where you come from, what you've done, who you are. That was Chaitanya's open invitation. So the most powerful spiritual practice and most readily accessible and available That was what Chaitanya offered. And so, yeah, when the golden moon rises, what happens when there's a full moon? What happens to the ocean?
Well, it's pulled towards the moon.
The ocean is influenced by the moon, right? How is it influenced?
Tides.
The tide goes out. The water comes down. So when the moon becomes big, the tides go out. When Chaitanya's golden moon rises, then the ocean of materialism is pulled back. When we engage in this practice, when we get onto this wave of love that Chaitanya initiated, and the ocean of materialism is pulled back, it's held back. Who can hold back the ocean? What can hold back the ocean? It's so powerful. The rising moon can. The full moon can hold back the powerful. And so the ocean of materialism that is swept over the world can be held back, pulled back by the rising golden moon of Chaitanya and this movement that he started, the Sacred Talent movement. Okay, you've heard of something of Chaitanya's biography and of his teachings. There is a multi-volume biography called Chaitanya Charitamrita. How many books?
9.
Nine books like this. Available where? Upstairs. Yeah, available upstairs.
Talk to Hanai. He's hooked up.
Dr. Harai. It's so wonderful. So wonderful. We're just given a drop in the great ocean of Chaitanya's story, his activities and his teachings. I encourage you to dive in. Dive in and drink from this ocean of nectar. Any questions, comments, reflections, insights? Patrick, did you enjoy that description?
I sure did.
Excellent.
So I knew very little, as it turns out.
Right.
Now I know a lot more.
Yeah, great, wonderful.
Very nectarian.
Yeah.
Thank you. Louis, did you know those stories?
I've been reading like a summarized version of that book you're telling about.
Yeah.
From Rancher Prime.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like halfway through, so it'd be nice to kind of like relive the stories and stuff.
Yeah.
And I haven't read that much, so I was thinking about Nityananda, right?
Yeah.
Who's always with him, and from I think what I understand, we worship him because he's also the incarnation of Balaram, right?
Right.
So I just curious, to know like how was that established, or why was him like higher than the other from the Panchatattva, like why Nityananda? Maybe
Right.
comment on him.
Okay, yeah, so Louis is asking an important question here, because as I'll say here, we have two deities. There's Chaitanya and his associate, or say brother, Nityananda. And so I've been talking about Chaitanya because it's his appearance day or birthday. Louis said, but what about Nityananda? When I was reading Chaitanya's biography, I was also reading a lot about Nityananda. So can you tell us something about him, or how did he come to be recognized as Chaitanya's primary associate? Good question. So Nityananda was, he appeared at around the same time as Chaitanya, a little bit earlier. And when Chaitanya started his Sankirtan movement, Nityananda came to Navadvip and joined him at that time and became his leading support associate. He was also initiated by the guru of Chaitanya's guru. So he was the godbrother of Chaitanya's teacher. And so there was much affection between he and Chaitanya. He came with a lot of spiritual experience. He had traveled all over India with a monk from a very young age. And when he saw what Chaitanya was doing in Navadvip, and he came to join it. So he was a natural leader, and he naturally assumed that role of Chaitanya's lead, support, and associate. That's the simplest explanation. When you read his biography, there are indications of his inner identity as Balaram. That's a more esoteric, yeah. Thank you. Good question. Any other questions, reflections? Yes.
Thank you so much for nice talk. I'm wondering, like you said, Lord Chaitanya, he had so many different names.
Yeah.
According to situations, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. And we call different deities by different names. And it always like Nitai something.
Right.
But Nityananda also had many different names.
Right.
So why we call on Lord Chaitanya by different names?
Okay. Yeah. So Krishna's names are unlimited. Even people in different cultures and traditions, they address the divine by different names, but we know that they're referring to the same divinity. When we say Creator, Master of the Universe, Lord of Lords, Supreme Godhead, these are English expressions for a supreme divinity or deity. And you can find equivalents in other languages, in other traditions. All those names that I said in English, you'll find those in Sanskrit as Ishvara, Purusha, Parama, Parabrahma, Janardana, Jagannatha. So whether in English or in Hebrew or Aramaic or Arabic or Sanskrit, when we call out these names, descriptions, there is a connection made with that personality. When I call your names, we have some connection. When you call the names of the divine, there is a connection that is made in an even more profound way. So that's the first thing to say. Chaitanya, he prays, Nam Namakari Mahuda Nijasarava Shaktis. He says, Dear Lord, your names are unlimited, and in each and every one of these names, you have invested all your divine potency. So Chaitanya, we understand, is an incarnation of Krishna, so his names are also unlimited. there are names specific to his pastimes, but then in addition to that, any name for Krishna is also a name for Chaitanya. And yeah, we have specific names to Chaitanya's activities. Nimai, Gauranga, Vijanayaka. And then, so with Balaram also, the names are numerous, there are many. And so Nityananda Prabhu also is addressed by so many names as is Lord Balaram. Why do we chant? Why do we give when we say, to the heart of your question, why do we use the many different names for Chaitanya, but generally we don't use the many different names for Nityananda Prabhu? And the answer would be that we do the same for Radha and Krishna, right? Radha Govinda, Radha Mulidhar, Radha Kishore, Radha Gopinath, Giridhari, and so on, Shamsundar. And the reason is that our primary focus for our devotion is Krishna or Chaitanya. And then Balaram is in the mode of supporting Krishna. So we are approaching Krishna through Balaram. We are approaching Gauranga through Nityananda Prabhu. The focus is Krishna, so we're meditating on all of those pastimes. Govinda, Gopinath, Murlidhar, Madan Mohan, and so on. And then with him is Balaram, who is Adi Guru. That would be my immediate answer, yeah? So for Chaitanya as well, we are followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nityananda Prabhu is his immediate associate and support preacher. Thank you. Yeah.
While I was coming, some things about principle came to mind. And I'm like, Lord Ram was the ideal king.
Right.
He followed all the principles. And then, Kirtan's playing. So then I was like thinking, oh, but, I used to wonder why Prabhupada gives so much more emphasis on Balaram, the name of the Hare Krishna, Rama is Balaram more than Rama. And later on, I came across, I've read this long before, but I realized Prabhupada said that Krishna, even though Rama was the ideal king, Krishna, he broke so many principles, and he's not affected by all of this.
Okay.
Right?
Good.
So it doesn't change his standard being superior to all these principles that he broke. It might look like, oh, Krishna is naughty. He did this. He did something that was not principle or break promises and things like that.
Yeah.
So Prabhupada had emphasized that that's what makes Krishna more recognized, more happy and joyful, because the Supreme Lord is not affected by certain principles or certain naughtiness or certain things that's changed.
Yeah.
And so that's why more emphasis is given to Krishna.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for that. So some more esoteric points being raised here. A contrasting between Krishna's pastimes as Ram, the ideal king, and then Krishna's pastimes as himself. And it's been observed that as Ramachandra, that he's very disciplined and duty-bound. And in his pastimes as Krishna, then love supersedes everything. So love is the higher principle. He said, I will not fight in the Kurukshetra war. But then when he saw his devotee Arjuna being attacked by Bhishma, Arjuna coming under fire with his blood on his body, then Krishna took up a chariot wheel and charged against Bhishma. So he broke his promise out of love for Arjuna. And you'll see this as a pattern in Krishna's pastimes. He will prioritize the loving relationship over strict adherence to one rule or another. And that is an interesting contrast.
The eclipse.
The eclipse.
Remember when he made the night came in and the war stopped?
Yeah. Yeah, so many pastimes are there. With in Krishna's pastimes, we'll see that he always prioritizes or gives precedence to the relationship. And this should also give us encouragement, because there's something called justice and something called mercy. And in terms of justice, who are we? Like, what is our qualification?
Hopeless.
In terms of justice, what is our claim? I have a right to spiritual awakening and transcendence. What is our right? But in terms of mercy, we are given hope. Your qualifications may not be great. What we may have or may not have done in the past, actually it is of little consequence in the face of great mercy. And so in Krishna and in Chaitanya, that we see this mercy is available to us. The considerations of justice are superseded and overridden by grace. And that gives us hope. And that is the principle in the chanting as well. That the chanting of these holy names, Krishna is present here. The Brahmins, they objected to the Kazi. They said, these people are not qualified. They can't chant the names. If they do, they will contaminate the sacred sound. Chaitanya, he said, no, this is a mercy that has come. God has appeared as sacred sound. God has appeared in the form of the name and is available to everyone. Take the name. Take the name and be filled with grace. Take the name and receive this mercy. The name will qualify you. What is your qualification? Materially, nothing. In terms of piety, morality, in terms of austerity or discipline or advanced yoga practice, it's not there. The qualification is, the justification is the holy name. We are justified, we are sanctified, we are purified, qualified. Chaitanya said, even once you chant the holy name, you change the trajectory of your destiny. Karma. So what is karma? Karma is justice. Karma means for every action there is a specific reaction. It's calculated. Karma is justice, the universal justice. And Chaitanya taught, you chant the holy names, your karma is washed away. The negative karma account that we have been carried over many lifetimes, washed clear. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore. Let's practice it.